This wedding dress was donated to me by a follower, and it was worn for her wedding on December 31st, 1983. Here is a picture of Sandra and Jeffrey at their wedding in Rudyard, Michigan, and there's a copy of her original dress receipt. She bought it off a sale rack, and when she asked the salesperson if, even though it had sheer sleeves, if that was appropriate for a winter wedding, the salesperson said no, but the fact that it had a touch of satin on it, which you can see in that waist, kind of the waist area, she said then it would be okay. I kind of love that detail. I guess it was a dress shop in Sault Ste. Marie in northern Michigan. The donation also included her veil, which is a lovely, very common for the 1980s to have the kind of headband style, and I love that lace trim on there. And there's a shot of Sandra on her wedding day with her veil. Here is a close-up of the dress. It was in pretty good shape, aside from there's some underarm staining, which is so common, and then the seam did come apart on that one and a little bit on the other one as well. There is some lace that needs to be reattached. This was glued on originally, and several of the pearls have come off of the dress as well. So I will address all of those things here, and here is a close-up showing the back of it, showing that this is what it looks like when lace has been glued onto a dress. And I have known from experience in the past that it may come off when you wash it. So I did have to peel some of it back in order to get at that seam on the armhole to be able to do that repair. So it was very easy actually just to kind of peel it back, and then I was able to do that repair. So then I kind of preemptively decided to hand stitch the majority, or at least in the most usable areas of the lace in the back and in the front. I reattached it because, again, I was afraid of it just literally falling off after washing, so I did that ahead of time. And here's a shot showing some of those pearls that are missing. It's actually not very yellowed. The lace is a little bit yellowed, and of course that underarm staining, so I'm just going to do retro wash and a fairly warm temperature of 92. And then I'm going to just let that soak for an hour. But while it's soaking, a follower had said, let's try Fels Naptha for the underarms. So I did do that, and it didn't end up taking care of it, but I tried it anyway. Just in case some of the pearls came off, I took a piece of tulle and put it underneath the drain so that it would catch them if they were to come off, and happily none of them did come off. So I'm going to address those underarms with my go-to of 2 tablespoons of peroxide, half a teaspoon Dawn, and I make a solution with that, and then I brush it onto the areas, whether it's underarms in this case or necks, that get yellowed, etc. I did decide to also just apply it to those lace medallions just to brighten them up a little bit. And I just let this go for 15 minutes and rinsed it off. And then after good rinsing, so that I can kind of get a better idea here, look at it, so much better. This has worked so many times to do that solution for underarms. Sometimes you have to repeat it, but I rinsed it well, and then I saved that water because I like to save it when I can for an initial soak on another dress. I let it partially air dry, and I didn't let it dry all the way because what I've been liking to do lately is to press the underskirt while it's still just slightly damp, because it's kind of a built-in steam that way. So now I go to my stash for some pearls. When you do these vintage wedding dresses, you need all sorts of different things, whether it's pearls or rhinestones and beads and whatnot, and different sizes, and these were pretty darn close to the original, so I hand-stitched. It was actually about 20 different pearls. But look at this dress. I think sometimes 80s wedding dresses get a bad rap, but I'm telling you, there's some very pretty examples out there. So if you are in the market for a vintage wedding dress, don't overlook looking at 80s. There's some really lovely examples like this. I think this is just a beautiful, timeless dress, and it's ready once again for another wedding 41 years later.